Airbus closed 2025 with numbers that deserve attention. The European manufacturer delivered 793 commercial aircraft throughout the year, slightly exceeding its revised target of 790 jets. Additionally, it secured approximately 1,000 new gross orders, raising its total backlog to 8,754 aircraft, a historic record for the company. This result gains importance when we look at the context the aerospace industry faced in 2025 and reveals much about Airbus. In 2020, during the peak of the pandemic, Airbus delivered only 566 planes, the worst number in over a decade. Airlines parked entire fleets, canceled orders, and simply stopped buying. Recovery came gradually. 611 deliveries in 2021, then 661 in 2022. In 2023, there were 735, and in 2024, we reached 766. Each year represented not just higher numbers, but a continuous effort at reconstruction of supply chains, skilled workforce, market confidence. What's interesting about 2025 is that Airbus started the year with much bigger ambitions. The initial target was to deliver around 820 aircraft. There was optimism that suppliers were finally stabilizing, that bottlenecks were being overcome, but reality proved more complicated. Mid-year, the company had to revise its expectations downward. Problems with a Spanish supplier of fuselage panels delayed A320 production, software issues affected deliveries, and engine manufacturers, particularly Pratt Whitney, continued facing their own limitations. That's when the target dropped to 790 aircraft. And even so, Airbus managed to deliver 793. It may seem like a small difference, just 3 planes, but in an industry where each delivery involves thousands of parts, hundreds of suppliers, and months of coordinated work, exceeding a revised target demonstrates real operational resilience. If there's one month that deserves highlighting in 2025, it's December. Airbus delivered approximately 136 aircraft in the month, nearly double what it had delivered in November. This wasn't a normal year-end push. It was a coordinated mobilization across assembly lines in Toulouse, Hamburg, Mobile, and Tianjin. Each jet goes through rigorous testing, customer-specific customizations, regulatory certification, and final inspection. Accelerating this process without compromising quality requires tremendous coordination. What made December so critical was that many of these aircraft were already factored into airline operations. Routes had been designed with these planes in mind. Pilots were already in training. Delays wouldn't just mean lower numbers for Airbus, it would mean canceled expansion plans, connections not launched, competitiveness lost. One of the most visible challenges of 2025 involved engines. Pratt Whitney, supplier of the PW1100G engines that power much of the A320neo family, has been facing technical problems requiring unscheduled inspections and maintenance. The result? Engines being removed from service earlier than expected, creating a queue of ready aircraft without propulsion, what the industry calls gliders. At the height of the crisis, Airbus had about 60 aircraft in this condition, planes completely assembled, tested, ready to fly, but grounded waiting for engines. The company worked intensively with engine manufacturers to reduce this number throughout the year, reaching what it described as a manageable level by December. Not all 793 aircraft were the same. The distribution by aircraft type reveals much about what the market is buying. The A320 family dominated completely, with 607 deliveries. Within this category, the A321neo was the star, 387 units delivered, up from 361 in 2024. Airlines love this plane. It's large enough for dense routes, but efficient enough to operate profitably even on medium-haul routes. The smaller A320neo saw its deliveries fall from 232 to 205, highlighting the A321neo, which offers better economics per seat. The A220 family had a strong year, with 93 deliveries compared to 75 in 2024. This jet, originally developed by Bombardier and acquired by Airbus, has found its niche replacing older regional jets. On the wide-body side, the A350 remained stable with 57 deliveries, while the A330 recorded 36. These numbers may seem small compared to narrow bodies, but wide bodies represent much larger investments and serve long-term strategies, intercontinental routes, premium configurations, hub operations. Behind these numbers are 91 customers that received aircraft from Airbus in 2025, each with their own strategic reasons. Low-cost carriers continue to be the biggest buyers of the A320neo family. Airlines like Indigo and Wizz Air are expanding aggressively, betting that the future of aviation belongs to the point-to-point low-cost model. A highlight of 2025 was the A321XLR, the extra long-range version that began being delivered. In the wide-body market, Air Europa announced plans for 20 A350-900s, which will replace its Boeing 787 fleet. This decision reflects an interesting trend. Some airlines are discovering that replacing the first 787s delivered can make more economic sense than performing major scheduled maintenance. Beyond the 793 deliveries, Airbus also sold. There were approximately 1,000 gross orders in 2025, resulting in 889 net orders after cancellations. This raised the total backlog to 8,754 aircraft, an unprecedented number in commercial aviation. To put this in perspective, at current production rates, this backlog represents approximately 11 years of work. Never in history has an aircraft manufacturer operated with such a deep order book. The wide-body backlog reached 1,124 aircraft, also a record. This is particularly significant because wide-bodies aren't bought on speculation. Each order represents a serious strategic decision about long-haul network development. A record wide-body backlog suggests airlines strongly believe in the continued recovery of international travel. Despite the success in 2025, Airbus faces challenges in 2026 and beyond. The supply chain remains the central concern. The problems that forced the mid-year target revision haven't disappeared, they've been managed. Achieving even higher production rates, which market demand certainly justifies, requires solving persistent bottlenecks in engines, interiors, and structural components. The workforce represents another critical factor. Aerospace manufacturing requires highly skilled workers with specialized training. The industry lost many of these professionals during pandemic-era layoffs, and recruiting and training replacements takes years. So what should we take away from Airbus's 2025 performance? Essentially, a demonstration of industrial resilience. The company faced significant challenges, supply chain disruptions, quality issues, revised targets, but still delivered 793 aircraft, secured 1,000 orders, and built its backlog to historic levels. The aviation industry enters 2026 with clearly defined challenges and opportunities. Supply constraints will persist. Competitiveness will intensify. Technological expectations will escalate. But through it all, manufacturers like Airbus must continue delivering the aircraft that keep the world connected. 793 deliveries in 2025, 8,754 aircraft in backlog, 1,000 new orders secured. These numbers tell a story of an industry rebuilding, adapting, and positioning itself for future growth. What do you think? Will Airbus and the broader aerospace industry finally overcome supply chain challenges in 2026? Or will these limitations continue restricting growth for years to come? Leave your thoughts in the comments.